Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 10 at Gulfstream Park on Saturday is at 1 mile on the turf, and it is the Grade 3 Canadian Turf Stakes. $150,000 is the purse. Let's meet this big and bulky field, and the morning line favorite is the number 1, Mr. Online. 3-1. He's won his last 3 races. He's been in the exacta in his last 8 races, and yet you still get the feeling he's getting a real acid test from a class perspective here.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously in very good form. I won't knock a horse who's in his kind of form from a very good post. He has some things going for him, but boy, I'll tell you what, not only will I be shocked if he actually goes off the favorite in this race, I'll be shocked if he wins.
I think he has a chance in here based on the numbers he's run and the fact that he draws a good inside post. He can sit behind the speed. We'll see how good he is at 3-1. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. I think he'll be more like 5 or 6-1 at post time. Let's take a look at one of our formulator facts for this race. It concerns the number 3, Rye De Luch. And Gary Contessa has done very well with turf routers returning off similar layoffs as the one that Rye De Luch will be returning from. He's got a couple of 20-1 bombs in there, but 4 for 13, not bad at all. Rye De Luch, we know, is pretty good on his best day. Is he going to be cranked in this spot with other speeds? I don't think he'll be 6-1 on the line. I think he'll be shorter.
Yeah, I do too. We'll see what happens. He has a little bit of a fan club, this horse, and we'll just see where he is because we haven't seen him since August of his 3-year-old year. I don't really know what to say about him, Dan. I feel like you and I feel the same way about him. Like, we're not really convinced. Obviously, he's run some big races. Mostly that happens when he gets these perfect trips and he just sort of buries these fields through the stretch. And his last two races where he didn't run as well, they were going 1.25 miles. He doesn't have to want to go that far. Maybe 1 mile is more his kind of a game, but I'm like you. I feel like he's going to be a relatively short price in this race, and I don't really want him in here.
He might have to deal with Joe Ha in the early portion of this race. He also might have to deal with the number 5, Reload. And if we have a formulator fact for Reload, Shug McGahee, turf route over the last year. Horse is stepping up into graded stakes off a win, 31%, nice ROI. Reload had a candy trip on the lead in his turf debut. I mean, they just handed it to him, and he and Bombagia then ran 1-2 around the track. What did we learn, if anything, about Reload from that race?
We learned what we already know about him. When he gets soft trips and he has favorable situations, he can run a big race. And when he's forced to do any work at all in a race, he's just not that good. And I get that you could make the argument that he's just a new horse on turf, but considering the trip that he got, I mean, I don't like his chances even a little bit in this race.
I like him a little bit more than you in this spot. I certainly don't love him, but in this pick 4, I might be inclined to use him a little bit simply because maybe he is a new horse on turf. And we've seen this so often from Shug, horses getting older and maturing and stretching out a little bit on the grass. Is Reload a superstar? Likely not. But he doesn't have to be, I don't think, to win a race like this. I know you're not a fan of the number 9, Bad Debt, who's been nibbling in his last 2 races. This horse has earned over $700,000 in his career and might get some pace this time around. Didn't think he had the easiest trip last time.
I'm actually a very big fan of his. I'm not a big fan of his chances in this kind of a race. Not just this race in general, but this kind of race overall. And we've seen a lot of this horse. He's a real solid, hard-hitting kind of horse, and he can win a good race on his day. But every time they try him in these kinds of races, he's just not quite up to it. I just can't take him in this race.
Guy's Reward and Salto ran 1-2 most recently in the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Stakes over yielding ground. Salto was 1-2 that day, made this premature 3-wide bid to make the lead, and it looked like it was all over but the shouting. But here comes Guy's Reward, the one time I don't pick him.
Yeah, I sort of feel like maybe we disagree on this race a little, or on that race a little bit. I feel like Salto, although he was 1-2 and got beat, I thought he went a little too early in there to take the race over. And Guy's Reward just got this perfect trip. I mean, what a great ride he got from the back of the field, a perfect in-out run, and then he finished strong. He ran right over Salto at the end of that race. I kind of wanted to take Salto over that horse this time.
I know you're a big Hampstead Heath fan. He's taken a little bit of a drop in class after facing the good Forte de Marmi at 1.5 miles. I think he's capable at 1 mile, Mike.
Yeah, so do I. This is just the kind of race, too, Dan, where I just feel like there are a lot of horses that can win, and of the ones that I'm against that we have already sort of covered, Hampstead Heath feels like a really big price to me in this race, and he has races that make him competitive. I just didn't see any way that I couldn't use him somewhere in this race.
Let's take a look at our picks because we're both going with prices on the morning line. Mike, you like the number 12, Abital, who overcame an extremely long layoff to win his North American debut on January the 25th. He's going to get pace this time around. He's a dangerous horse that has to overcome a tough post.
We're going to see what happens with him. I was really impressed with his race off that long layoff last time. I mean, not only was he away for over a year, but I mean, after they took him back to last, he came with a really strong run from him. He just circled that field, and he was much the best in there. He has back form from France that suggests he was cut out to be a nice horse. If he could take a little step forward here, get the right kind of a trip in this race, I feel like he's dangerous at a price.
I'm going with the 2 Unbridled Ocean, a 6-year-old with only 9 starts, which indicates this horse has likely had his share of physical problems. I think it's a great sign that Bill Mott's got 3 races into him now in the span of about a month and a half. I think he's feeling good, and he looked good most recently, beating a solid optional claiming field at Gulfstream.
Yeah, he beat the great Skyblazer last time. I'm using this horse.
His favorite horse of all time. Who do you like in this race, folks? Play DRF bets. You get a $125 cash bonus. You get free daily racing form past performances. You get free daily racing form plus coverage. Of course, all the articles from Mike Welsh and coverage on the scene at Gulfstream Park. It's a good deal. Enjoy the Grade 3 Canadian turf. Good luck.